I have decided to create a playlist for a series of videos where I am going to dive deep into the history, achievements, and current state of some of the industry's biggest names. Today, I'm going to kick it off with Partagas from Habanos. But that's just the beginning, because I have Coiba, Davidoff, Romeo and Julieta, and many more already on that list. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any of those massive videos. La Flor De Tabacos de Partagás is a factory, a brand with a lot of success and a lot of history. But there is also murder and near bankruptcy. So grab a nice cigar and a drink, because here is everything you need to know about Partagás. It all started after the royal decree of the Spanish king Carlos III to cultivate and commercialize tobacco. And after hearing this, many Spaniards went into the colonies of the New World to make their way in the tobacco industry. But little do we know that in Arenys de Mar, a Catalan city, on the 7th of December 1816, Jaime Partagas was born. And coming from a successful family of tailors, Jaime was destined for greatness. But he saw, as many other Spaniards, an opportunity to create his own legacy in the New World. And at the age of 14, on the 29th of July 1831, Jaime Partagas decides to migrate to Cuba. He reaches Havana, where he starts to learn about the business of tobacco under the wing of Juan Conil, a well-recognized Spaniard who reached Cuba in the 1800s. Juan had one of the most recognized storages of tobacco in Cuba and was a very important link between Cuba and Spain. Jaime ventured into setting up a chinchal, which is a modest artisanal family workshop in Havana. In 1840, he established the first tobacco storage warehouse in Havana, and 5 years later, in 1845, La Flor De Tabacos Partagas is founded. Also, that same year, he bought a farm with the name of Hato de la Cruz in the province of Pinar del Rio. And it is said that the best tobacco of Cuba comes from there. With the purchase of the farm, Don Jaime Partagas wanted to cultivate his own tobacco. This way, he will have control all the way from the seed to the cigar. This strategy worked so well for Don Jaime that business was booming. Everything was going so good that he even got married in 1846 and had 5 children. Not on that year, but with the same wife. Don Jaime, with all these years of history, of learning and everything, became very recognized for his ability to choose some of the best tobacco in Cuba, and also for blending and fermenting tobaccos. This made the brand Partagas very recognized and successful, and he went into winning the medal for first class in 1855 at the International Expo in France, and the gold medal in the International Expo in Paris 1862. And by the way, do you know what a Lector is? Well, Don Jaime is accredited for creating this role in the cigar factories. Unfortunately, Don Jaime Partagas' story doesn't have a happy ending. After all the success and everything, he was murdered, passing away on the 17th of July 1868 in Pinar del Rio. And there are a few theories about his murder. It is said that it was an assassin for hire that shot him, and that he was paid by one of his neighbors who had a dispute with him. Then there's another theory that it was one of his competitors, and there's another theory that it was a love affair gone wrong. But there was a man that was arrested. The problem is that, according to what I've read and the records, people couldn't understand the connection between this man and the murder. With the unfortunate death of Don Jaime Partagas, his oldest son, Jose Partagas, took over the company. But he wasn't as good at business as his dad or even his great-grandparents over in Spain. He drove the company nearly to bankruptcy and ended up selling it to Jose Gerner and another gentleman called Juan Antonio Alvarez. Now, there was a big battle between these two gentlemen and the children of Don Partagás, because it turned out that the farms were left in a will to the second child of Don Partagás, which was Teresa Partagás. And she was claiming that her brother only sold the brand of cigars, not the farms. Anyway, this battle took 7 years to resolve, and at the end, Mr. Juan Antonio Alvarez took over the business. He was so fed up of it that he sold it again. But this acquisition is what catapulted the brand of Partagás to where it is today. In 1909, Juan Antonio Alvarez sold Partagás to another Spaniard, Ramon Cinfuentes, and here is where the brand Partagás cemented itself to where it is today. Don Ramon, with his knowledge, hard work, and connections, together with his 2 sons, acquired the Bolivar and La Gloria Cubana brands. Tell me in the comments below, which of these 2 brands would you like me to do a video like this for this series? They took the Partagás brand all over Europe, only coming second to H. Upmann Company. And this popularity and quality that their cigars had meant that the brand was a favorite among European courts. And this gave the way to the rebranding from La Flor de Tabacos de Partagás to Real Fábrica de Tabacos Partagas. But once again, when the Partagás brand is at its best, turmoil comes knocking. And this was on September 15, 1960 at 6:30 p.m. when the Fidel Castro revolutionary government seized the Partagás factory, leaving Don Cinfuentes without any other choice than to flee Cuba. Cinfuentes then began making non-Cuban Partagás outside of Cuba, and these are the ones that we see that are sold in the USA. But for the Real Fábrica de Tabacos Partagás, not all was lost, at least not the name, as Cuba Tobacco selected the brand as one of the brands that will continue under the new production. Cubatabaco, that later became Habanos S.A., the brand that we all know, has always been under Cuban state government control. But they continued the legacy of the brand, and by the 1990s, it was second in sales only to Montecristo, with annual sales of approximately 10 million cigars. The Partagás brand has always been a brand of high quality and excellence, and it offers today a wide selection of cigars in varied vitolas and sizes. From the Partagas Serie, where you can find the loved Serie No. 4 Robusto, to the intense and rich Partagas Lusitanas, the intricate and unique Culebras, the incredible thought after Partagás Salomones, to now, with the 23rd edition of El Festival del Habano, it was announced that Partagás will have an ultra premium line called Línea Maestra, with the fresh design, new colors, but always paying tribute to the origin, ritual, and tobacco masters. And this is everything you need to know about the Partagás brand. What a story! So much history, so much turmoil. But it seems that the Partagás brand is well cemented into our hearts, the hearts of the cigar enthusiasts around the world, and is here to stay stronger than ever. Many of the Habano brands have similar stories to this one, with a lot of hard work, betrayal, death, and success. Tell me which brand you want me to do next, and will you be trying the new Partagás Serie Maestra when it reaches the stores? Drop me a comment below, and if Habanos is not your thing, then check out my store, Toro Puro Shop, where I have a special selection of cigars and accessories for sale. And if you like this video, then you might like last week's video over here, and a playlist for you to binge on. But whatever you do, don't forget to subscribe, smoke less, smoke the best.